Hello, today we're going to talk about surface area of prisms and cylinders. So here we have a pentagonal prism. You can see that because you have two bases that are congruent and parallel and they have the shape of a pentagon. If we want to draw a net, it's as if someone is kind of like opening this box or package up and laying all of it flat in a 2D shape. So looking at that, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and look at the base as a pentagon. And then here is one of the sides that's kind of connected right here. And then if you were to open all of those up, we would have 5 of those rectangles, and then the other base, would be on the bottom here. And so looking at this, if we were to look at the net of this shape, all of that combined would be the surface area. Now, prisms have two different parts to their surface area. They have something called the lateral area. And so the lateral area is the area of all of the lateral faces. The lateral faces are all of the non bases, basically, all the way around. That would be this part right here. The total surface area takes the lateral area and includes the area of the bases. So that would be the total surface area. That's the lateral area plus the two bases. So if we were to try and formulate a way to calculate the lateral area, looking at this, the lateral area is actually just this rectangle right here. When we opened everything up, it became a rectangle. So the rectangle is going to be like base times height is normally how you find the area of that rectangle. But this base here actually represents all the way around on your base. So the lateral area, the formula for that is going to be the perimeter of the base times the height of the prism. So the capital P stands for the perimeter of the base times the height of the prism. And to find the total surface area, what you're going to do is you're going to take that lateral area and you're going to add 2 times the area of the bases because the bases are congruent. So you can write that formula two different ways, the lateral area plus 2 times the area of the bases, or you can actually plug in the perimeter times the height plus 2 times the area of the bases. So let's go ahead and take a look at some examples and actually calculate some things here. So we have a triangular prism with bases that are equilateral triangles. So you can see here, this shape has two bases that are congruent here. They're equilateral triangles. The sides of the base are 5 and the height of the prism is 12. As a reminder, the height of the prism is the distance between the bases. It's not necessarily the up and down, it's the distance between the two bases. So to find the surface area, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to identify the perimeter of the base, the height of the prism, and the area of the base. If we can find these things, then we will be able to find both the lateral area and the surface area, no problem. So the perimeter of the base is going to be 15. The height of the prism is going to be 12. And the area of the base is going to be the area of this equilateral triangle. So we can do our s squared root 3 over 4 formula because it's an equilateral triangle. So it's 25 root 3 over 4. Now that we have all of this, we can now just plug everything into any formula that we need. So if we were to be asked for the lateral area, we would do the perimeter of the base times the height of the prism, and we would get 180 units squared. If we're now looking for the surface area, what we can do is we can take that lateral area, 180, and we can add 2 times the area of the base, which is 25 root 3 over 4. And so our final answer for surface area would be 180 plus 25 root 3 over 2 units squared. So this would be our exact area. If we were to be asked to round it, we would then type everything in and we would get about 201.65 units. So let's go ahead and take a look at another one. We have a rectangular prism here. So if we're asked to find the surface area, you can definitely use all of the formulas that we've done. We also can just find surface area using the area of all of the sides added together. So it depends on what you want to do. Looking at this, let's go ahead and take a look at this front side, this rectangle right here. Okay, if I were to ask you what the area of that shape would be, you would do 14 times 5. And there's going to end up being two of those because we have this front one and this back one with that same area. Now we also have the bottom rectangle, which would be 6 times 14, and there would be two of those because there's the bottom one and the top one. And then we also have the left and the right face. And so the area of those ones would be 5 times 6, and again, there would be two of those because you have one on the left and one on the right. So you also can find surface area by finding the area of each side and adding them all together. So if you were to figure out what all of these were and then add them all together, you would get 368 inches squared. If you used your perimeter times the height plus 2 times the area of the base, you would get the same exact answer. So a cylinder is actually going to be exactly the same as a prism. It's just your bases are going to be circles. So you're going to have like the circular base and then this long lateral area, and then you have the other base here. So the lateral area is going to be the area of this rectangle. Now, again, lateral area is going to be the base times the height of this rectangle. So the base of this rectangle actually represents the circumference of the circle. So the circumference formula is 2 pi r times the height then of the rectangle, which is the height of the cylinder. And so then for your surface area, you can add the lateral area, which is 2 pi r h, plus 2 times the area of the bases, which is pi r squared. So for this one, we really only need two different things. We need to know the radius and the height of your cylinder, and that's it, and just plug them all in. So for example 3 here, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. We want to find just the surface area. So we're going to go ahead and identify that this 4 here is the height of the cylinder because it's the distance between the bases. The radius here would be 15 because it's half of the diameter. So my surface area is going to be 2 pi r h plus 2 pi r squared. That should be a 15 squared. And so then we're going to take and we're going to simplify these and multiply things and add them together. So we would get 120 pi plus 450 pi, and we would add those together to get 570 pi units squared. Or if we needed an approximate answer, we would use the pi button on our calculator to get 1790.71 units squared. Okay, so for number 4, we're going to again use our formula. The diameter of the base is 10, which means the radius here is going to be 5. The height of the cylinder is 30, so we can go ahead and plug this in on our surface area formula. It's 2 pi r h plus 2 pi r squared. And so plugging that in, we get 300 pi plus 50 pi. Now the interesting thing here, before I go ahead and add these together, is that this 300 pi is our lateral area. So if we were ever asked to calculate the lateral area, it's right in here in our surface area formula. But overall, our surface area is 350 pi units squared. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at some more complex shapes to find the surface area and volume. So this one's asking us for the surface area and the volume. So it would be great if we were able to just identify the area of the base, the height of the prism, and the perimeter of the base. If we know these three things, then it's just an issue of plugging everything in. The height of the prism is going to be 9 because that's the distance between the bases. The perimeter around the base, this is a right regular hexagonal prism. So the base here is a hexagon. So all 6 of those sides are congruent because it's regular, which makes my perimeter then 24. So the area of my base here, what I can do is I can draw in all of these different triangles. Each of these would be an equilateral triangle because my central angle here would be 60 degrees. And so since these are all going to be equilateral triangles, then I can use my formula here, which is s squared root 3 over 4 to get the area of one of those triangles. And there are 6 of them overall. So then simplifying this, we would get 24 root 3 as my area of the base. So to calculate my surface area then, I'm going to go ahead and take and plug this into my formula. I'm going to do the perimeter times the height plus 2 times the area of the base. And I'm going to go ahead and multiply these. You get 216 plus 48 root 3 centimeters squared. That would be my total surface area. To calculate my volume, it is the area of the base times the height of the prism. And so my volume here would be 216 root 3 centimeters cubed because it is a volume. Taking a look at this one here, we want to find the total surface area. So this is a cylinder with a hole cut out of it. So to find the total surface area, what I really want to do is I want to take the lateral area of the bigger one, and I also want to add the lateral area of the smaller one. That's going to give me the outside part and the inside part. But then I also want to do 2 times the area of the base. And I have to recognize that the base is a circle with the whole part cut out of it again. So looking at each of these parts, the lateral area of the big, so that's going to be 2 pi r. The area, the radius of the bigger one, I have to be careful, is 5 plus 5 plus 6 is 16. That's the diameter. So my radius here is going to be 8 times the height, which is 20. Now my lateral area of the inside cylinder is going to be 2 pi r h. And the area of the bases, I'm going to show that work down here, is going to be pi r squared would be the entire circle, but I have to subtract away the inner circle, which is pi r squared once again, but my radius is 3 for that one. And after I calculate one of the bases, I'm going to say that there are 2 of those on my shape, the top part and the bottom part. So now it's an issue of combining all of this together and multiplying it all out. So this first part here, when I multiply those all together, this part here becomes 320 pi. This lateral area of the smaller part, when I multiply all that out, it's 120 pi. And then the 2 times the area of the base is going to be 2 times 55 pi. And since these all have pi's in them, I can combine them all together to get a final answer of 555 units squared would represent the total surface area, including that inside part that was cut out. Okay, for our last one, we want to find the total surface area and volume. Now this shape looks convoluted, but it's really actually just a normal prism. Your base here is going to be this L shape. So if we are able to find the perimeter of that L shape and the area of that L shape and the height of the prism, we can then find the surface area and volume. So looking at this, the perimeter would be 6 plus 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus this top part would be 3, and this side part over here would be 2. So if you add all of those together, that gives us a perimeter of 22. The area of this base then is going to be length times width of these 2 different rectangles added together, which is 21. So therefore our surface area is going to be 22 times 8 plus 2 times 21, or 214 inches squared.